Which color is best for me to marry? All I get asked all the time, right? Because marriage is a big decision. It's a very important one. And the truth of the matter is any color can marry any color and do very well at it. However, there are those that are more natural and those that are less natural. And you have to add the elements of chemistry. So in those societies where you're not arranged for marriages, you have choice and selection in the process. And so typically chemistry comes in and plays a role. I'm just going to talk about just shortly, very briefly, how the different colors interact. In my book, I go into it in much more depth, but I want you to have the opportunity just to kind of process what you think you are and what kind of color you are interested in being married to. Or if you're already married, how your relationship will work. The thing I always say to people is, I cannot imagine you would marry somebody and not know what color they are. Why? Well, because it will tell you better than you can even imagine how your marriage will look down the road. There's just things different colors do that you can expect is going to happen with that color in your marriage. So typically the most natural blends, and not the best, but the most natural blends are red with white and blue with yellow. So red with white, that's Tarzan and Jane, right? Blue with yellow, that's Wendy and Peter Pan. And the connection comes with logic for the reds and whites and emotion for the blues and yellows. Now, they all have their strengths and they all have their limitations, which you'll be able to find out more in depth on the website or in my books. But just know that by nature, those two seem to come together. The reds are very directive, kind of bossy. The whites are calmer, and they're very passive. They're more gentle. And when you come with the blues and yellows, the blues are very organized and very disciplined. The yellows are very playful and irresponsible. So it's kind of a nice blend for those two. Now, one that I called, that's very common, by the way, I call them the go to the garage for the weekend couple, are the blue and white. Blue and white get along very well. The white always wishes the blue would talk less. The blue always wishes the white would talk more. But in general, they play off each other very well. They're compatible. They're not very dynamic. They typically are very comfortable in their own little world. They're not pretentious, and they don't need much. They're not real needy of the outside forces. The blue will always want more emotional interaction. The white will want more independence. Then you go with the red and the yellow. These are a fun, spirited, outgoing kind of couple. They often struggle the most in terms of staying together because the red wants the yellow to be responsible and handle their finances. And the yellow's like, I have a visa. What more do I need? And the yellow will say to the red, you're too bossy, you're too demanding of me. But when the yellow ponies up and gets responsible and the red demands down, they can be a very exciting, successful couple. I think about a couple, for example, they would go out camping literally all week and be on the driving home on a Friday and see a golf course, and they would go play miniature golf because they're just fun and spontaneous in the moment. That's red and yellow. Now, one of the most common blends that is most difficult, I call it blood, sweat, and tears in the book, is red and blue. Now, why do they marry that if it's so hard? Because they are attracted to each other like a moth to light. And that is that the blue and the red show up. They're quality, they care about the institution. Reds are more loyal to the institution of marriage. Blues are more loyal to the person in the institution of marriage. But they're both very committed to making it right. And many of them, for example, will struggle an entire lifetime getting along, but they won't quit. Then you have white and yellow. Very, very uncommon blend. Doesn't happen very often. We're good for lunch, that's about it. And typically, it's because no one wants to take the lead. When you do have couples that are white and yellow and married, you'll tend to find that they're not really driven and they're not very demanding. They'll look at couples that are fighting a lot and they'll not understand that at all because that doesn't live in their relationship. They both kind of give and take rather than one more dominant. Of the same colors marrying, the most natural is blue. Blues care about each other very deeply. The problem you have with two blues being married is not that you're very caring and not that you're very loyal and you're very faithful and you're very obedient. Those things you are in spades. But you typically have to hide a yellow or red to get you out and doing things. If one blue is having a bad day, the other blue will come home and stab themselves to feel bad for the blue who's having a hard day. So you need to have someone a little more spontaneous, or one of you has to have a little secondary maybe color of red or yellow in you to get you out. If you're two reds, that's great for business, harder for marriage. Two reds have to then decide who's going to be responsible for what. So if one red handles the inside of the house, another red handles the outside of the house. They don't really tend to compete with each other in the same forum because that will cause contention. Two yellows, not that common. Really, that sounds like a long ride for two people that don't, either one of them wants to do long-term planning. And then two whites, no, who's going to get the marriage certificate? It's not very common at all. The two whites will actually marry. They may actually enjoy each other. I remember two whites that were dating for a long time. They loved each other deeply. Well, one fell asleep literally on the phone while they're talking. The other one just hung up. So you can see how different colors interact, but typically we seek opposites, not the same, in our marriages. Whatever color you are, know that the color you marry is what you needed most. For example, I say to blues, if you marry a red, you wanted security. If you married a yellow, you wanted fun. And if you married a white, you wanted control. So everybody marries for a motive. There's a reason they do that. They just don't like to own that at the time. So how did you like today's video? Thumbs up, thumbs down. What are your thoughts? We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love you to subscribe. We'll be uploading 2 to 3 times a week, so we'd like to be part of that with us. It would also like you to look at our website, taylorhartman.com. TAYLORHARTMAN.com. And we'd love you to stay current with us. Please ask your questions that you'd like me to respond to. Happy to do that. We're going to have a lot of fun together. Thanks for today.